Hello guys and welcome back to the BWN Podcast. Today is the 24th of January and I have a very exciting guest with me today. We're going to be talking about Did the Internet Ruin Us? Of course, a very meaty topic to get into. And for first kind of recording this intro after we've recorded the main segment, I can say that it went in some very unexpected directions and it was really kind of philosophical, really. A very interesting discussion indeed with Mr. J. Sykes, who I'll be speaking with today, obviously now, out of sequence, but you know what I'm saying. With general news this week in terms of media being released, in terms of films, which I said in previous weekends when this podcast has come out, there's 3 films I can talk about that are coming out today to kind of keep an eye out for in UK cinemas. We have Flight Risk, The Brutalist, and Presence. Presence stars Lucy Liu. I think it's directed by Steven Soderbergh, I believe, and it's sort of a new sort of haunted house supernatural horror kind of movie, I think under neon, and very sort of experimentally shot with a lot of handheld camera, which is really interesting, or sort of a very observatory camera movements in that way. When it comes to Flight Risk, it's Mark Wahlberg's new movie, also starring Michelle Dockery, about sort of a thriller on a plane mid-flight, sort of carrying a very precious cargo, which the trailer will reveal what that is. And then also The Brutalist, which has been doing the rounds in terms of awards season, with it taking away major wins at the Golden Globes. And it's actually, from accounts I've heard, it actually has an intermission that is that long, which is very rare. Obviously, you don't really see films nowadays with intermissions, but it does have one, and it is a very, very meaty story, which I'm very much looking forward to be seeing, sort of now a week ahead from today, and I'll be able to report on these films for next week's episode. But right now, for this week, I haven't been able to see much, but kind of the motherlode of what it is that I haven't managed to see, I will hopefully be able to talk about next week. So now moving on to our discussion. We've got a real we've got a real heavy one ahead of us, so sit tight, grab your popcorn, do whatever you want to do, because we're going for a bumpy ride. It's going to be a bumpy ride. Here we go. This is J. Sykes. Cut to it.
Hello.
Right then. Hello, Jay. How are you doing?
Hello, Matthew. I'm doing okay. How are you doing?
Good. I know we haven't had an enormous amount of opportunities to speak before.
It's always like very quickly in the foyer. Like,
yes.
I'm rushing to do something. You're rushing to do something. It's like, how is it going?
Yeah, it was primarily because we there was a sort not really a final exam, but we met in there was this thing in the lecture theatre where we had a film to show, and that was the first true time that I met you, and I know you really liked what we did.
Well, it was Nick from one of the first episodes of the series, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Nick Glean, or is he Nicholas or Nick?
We call him Nick.
Right.
We call him Nick. Yeah.
Okay. He'd asked for someone to help support him with the second marking, and what I really liked about what he did with his AI, I've always been very hesitant towards AI, is the way that it's helping you as students understand film language first, and then you can take that knowledge and understanding out into the field. Whereas usually, like first year, it's like, go out and shoot with these cameras, but you get student films back that didn't quite take into account all of the interesting things you can do with film language.
Yeah.
Whereas the AI, like some of the films that people created during that, because of the way that you're thinking about shot composition first using that software, I think it's a really, really interesting way of going about it.
It's very. I did find it really quite difficult, but it was really refreshing to not just see something positive from Nick, but also in those classes be met with someone who was just so positive about it. Because I think you were just really, really nice, and we just thought it was really quite refreshing, because it seemed like it was just full on Britain's Got Talent, like almost having like David and Simon together, someone who's so positive about it, and then have just Nick, who's just big bad wolf constantly, who was judging.
So who am I, like the Amanda Holden of Phil 111?
Whoever was just generally really friendly about acts, and just yes,
Okay.
that. But it was really refreshing. We really liked it, and we just really appreciated it, because at that time at the end of the year we needed to leave on a high, and we really appreciate it. So since obviously when I've done network stuff and just giving you minor updates and stuff, we've just caught in the corridor every now and then, but today, at least what I am trying to understand is, I know at least, well, the centre of which you're in, we're coming from sort of a media background here. I want to understand everything, sort of what you teach, what your interests are, that sort of thing. I want to dive into that first before we really get into the meat of this topic, which I know then when we spoke about it, it's very sort of generic, and you thought it was a very weird angle.
Well, it's not my expertise. The title of this presumably is. It's not my area, and I'm also not a researcher. I come from a practice-based background, so I'll do what I can.
Yeah, no, of course. when I'm doing this right now, at least when we're having discussions about guests, this is not coming from a very much a heavy angle on profession, at least not right now. It's a case of we thought you as a person would tackle this with great sensitivity. I think we both could. It's because it really, in a way, there's a big personal angle to me that is involved with this topic, really, that I think is that I found very interesting to talk about so early on in the third episode. So we thought that this would be a really interesting dialogue. But first of all, as said, with your interests and what it is that you teach in this building, would you like to elaborate a bit more on what your role kind of is in the media centre here?
Sure. So my name's Jay. I am an academic. No, I'm not. I keep saying that. My name is Jay. I'm a lecturer in audio at the university. So I primarily teach on audio drama, documentaries, podcasting, and audio journalism.
Right.
That's my areas. And outside of that, outside of university settings, I work for an organisation called Sister Sounds based in Newcastle. We're a BBC affiliate production company. So, for instance, last year I made one drama called William's Castle for Radio 4, one documentary called Vessels of Memory, Glass Ships of Sunderland for BBC Radio 4. My intention as I move forward in my career is to be at the university less and to be doing more and more of that, to step away or step a little bit away from the university and focus more of my attention outside.
Right.
I'm a freelance audio producer, so I work on podcasts, I work on audio projects, audio art. Used to manage an art gallery, don't do that anymore, but I'm still connected in the arts world, and I've got my own arts project called Arty Party, which brings artists and creatives together for conversations about creative practice. A few different little things here and there, but
very artistic attire, I say, as well. Really jazzy.
Oh my
I like
god!
it.
Thank you. Not as jazzy as you, Mr. New Shirt.
Oh, this is the most beige thing you'll ever see in your life. This looks like the outside of a Battenberg cake. It's hard. Yeah, sorry, audio listeners of the future. Not necessarily. This shirt's not that good.
Listen to this audio alone as well as watch it with the video as well.
This
is that right? So you can either go on YouTube or somewhere.
Right now it's the videos. We're going to figure it out. So I think, but not too far away, hopefully. We're definitely going to figure it out because we know the services that can do that, but it's not as simple as what we've done in previously, which is just put music out. We've got the services in which we do that, put music out and stuff, but we'll figure it out. With we're not entirely sure if it's very different for podcasts, but I think you would know.
Coming soon to a podcast app near you.
Yes, ideally that's the hope.
Matthew, we'll have conversations after in order to help you get set up, if that's useful to you.
Of course, much appreciated. Honestly, just for insider info, the amount, if you've noticed, it's an upgrade from episode 3. We now actually have the studio's mics working. I don't think it's ever going to be the same case again where we have our guest come in who has practically helped us run the show for us. This is a big grant, and we really appreciate your help with this with an upgrade so early on in the game.
It's okay. I do think we could bring Mike 2 up a little bit though.
So,
title card.
Yeah. Yeah, of course. So really what I'm understanding is that you're very much taking a more practical angle to the future. You want to be aware and really being out there in the field and sort of, really just putting yourself out there with the work that you're doing.
Again, I'll stress, I'm not a researcher. I'm not a traditional academic that's book or rail. I'm not well read. Mm-hmm. I am, definitely a practitioner led here.
No, I was the same. Well, I mean, it's hardly a comparison. I was never scientific as a kid. That's hardly a comparison. But yeah, when it comes to just in general academic side of things, I'm not the most academic. Where writing, you kind of half get me because that kind of borders on creativity. So that's where I was strong.
Are you writing at the moment?
About to, and a lot.
Good.
But my problem's always been taking on too much. So it's
ditto.
Yes, it's about quality, and it's also about time of doing it, because the one thing that I can't put an emphasis on is put myself block time to write a script by a certain time. Right. Because if you really are passionate about it and you do it and you find the right opportunities to do it, I cannot confine myself at a specific location at a specific time to have this thing finished by the end of the day.
That's a skill that you can try and develop and hone. It is difficult.
I can definitely try and hone it.
People say, a plumber, if you get hired as a plumber to do some plumbing work, you've got to do it. You can't just go, not today, it doesn't feel right.
No.
But then the problem with that thought is that writing is so inherently personal and so inherently from us that we need to be in the right headspace. That's hard to do.
I think that's what I'm missing, potentially, because the reason why I'm saying, because whenever I say that, it comes off like there's a certain laziness about it to make, but it's when I say this every other part of my life, because it's time sensitive and blocked, I have no issue doing the rest of it. When it comes to creating the magic on the page, I've really suffered, and what people can understand is music. Honestly, I think music I've just got an endless passion for, because at the end of the day, the song's not that long to write. That's fine. So doing multiple of them for an album, that's okay. But when it comes to fiction writing with screenplays, people will actually could make note of, with this network's history, that there's actually been very little on the page I've actually written. I've had scripts in the past from when I was younger, but on the network's history, there's very little narratively that I've written. And the feature film that I brought out, because of the nature of its lack of dialogue, didn't have one. We had an extensive story plan, but did not actually have a screenplay. So when you actually do the maths on how many screenplays I've actually written for the network's history, it's very, very slim.
Could you consider, in the same way that songs, you say, are really short form, could you look at, say, flash fiction writing or short content?
I honestly think that the long form content is not an issue. It's as long as I just distribute the work that I'm doing to other people, which is something that will become far more apparent to the audience as time goes on. But we are very heavy in development of bringing a lot of people into the network, which is not a discussion that I'm ready to have with the audience for a while. But a lot of people are about to come on board, and a lot of writers, and those people can distribute the work that we put into 2026 more evenly.
So what are you interested in then? Like, what's going to give you a sense of completeness beyond just having the network itself?
I want to make people happy.
We're talking about my happiness and your happiness. How's this going to work? Okay, you want to make people happy.
I want them to see themselves. I want to hold a mirror up to them, because they don't see themselves as special, a lot of them, and I just want to show them that. And however I can do it, and through all these different mediums, and just let them just come out of themselves for 10 minutes, watch something, have a laugh, and then get back on their day, I'll do it.
So your version of making people happy is having a huge network with loads of people that work with it, rather than putting out something specific that will serve. It's about bigness of that platform to
reach as many people as possible, because even if it's just some hospital drama about I'm talking about stuff that we're planning. I can't. This is even if it's just some drama about something completely. Let's say a fisherman. Okay, there we go. Just some.
Does a fisherman work in a hospital?
Who knows? Who knows? But let's just say it's just some drama about fishermen just going to catch fish, and it's completely irrelevant to what's going on in people's lives. You give them a good laugh. It doesn't always have to poke the finger at them and say, "Oh look, you're going through this, you're going through that." Something completely irrelevant to what they're going through, but just putting a smile on their face can do just as much. It really does. Of just and things that are all sort of abstract, sort of sense of community between the fishermen, but there could be a problem to do with community in their own lives going on. There's a certain mirror in there. I know that already off tangents. I didn't know what kind of discussion is going to be. I know we've gone off so much already, but this is what the point that I'm getting to. What you asked me that is the reason why I specifically brought this up is because a big part of what my angle to this question would be, because we're naturally moving on to it now, would be, I think with the internet, it's made, and particularly from a social media angle, I think it's made people very unhappy.
You think so?
I do. Because I think there's a certain ambiguity that's grown from it. I think, and when I mean by ambiguity, I say what we're talking about AI at the start. I think everything is becoming and more inauthentic. That there's a certain ideal that needs to be lived up to. And
I noticed that when you say, well, I'm not ready to talk to the audience about that yet. Because you need to be staggered in your authenticity, don't you? There are certain barriers that you're putting in place as a content creator, putting stuff out that you're saying, well, I better not talk about this yet because that's not been developed yet, or that's something I want to hide from an audience, or whatever reason.
The promise to deliver is definitely a factor in that. It's also a moment in time. That's what I'm trying to build to. A moment in time where this entire slate for next year, which we're developing to be pretty huge at this point, and we've already said that this year is the biggest year of the network so far. Nothing compared to next year. Again, leveling up, but it's a moment in time when those projects get announced. That's a moment in time when that gets announced. I want to blow everybody away. It's if I just talk about everything I want to do this year, it doesn't really. I want to make sure it's actually manifested and it's a thing first before I put that out there, But this level of not being able to know what to trust and just setting this ideal for perfection, essentially, which I think has been an enormous issue with my generation, at least, because I had that growing up. I've only just in recent years really gotten over the whole perfectionist thing, because I've had it massively, not just in work but as a person. I've really overcome that in the last few years. But there's no.
What's helped you overcome it?
I think noticing that the difficulties that people have in just who they are and what their flaws. The flaws make stories. When I look around, in reality, all I really see are stories. And the way I live my life is obviously with me being the central character in my own story, because of course it would be naturally in your own head. Mm-hmm. I see my whole life as a story, but because I see it that way, I see everyone else's stories around me. Mm. And if there's something that I can do to be a potential presence and supportive character in their story, I cling to that massively. For example, if I see someone who I can either take under my wing and help, that I naturally drop that position, and sometimes far too quickly. I want to be there.
So through your network, essentially, it's about helping support other people with those kinds of media ambitions, filmmaking ambitions, storytelling ambitions, to be able to realize that collectively.
Yeah. Behind the scenes, yes. For the audience, it's what I said before. It's
to make people happy.
Yeah. It's to be a presence for people, to that a community that people can come to in the network sense behind the scenes, but to the audience, a thing that brings everyone together.
What's the title of this episode?
Did the internet ruin us?
You wouldn't be able to do that without the internet.
Very true. Very, very true. And I think the fascinating part about this is, I feel, well, maybe my mind will be changed, but I think we're coming into this discussion, at least seemingly, from two opposite ends of the table.
Possibly.
But I do believe that the dialogue that we're currently having, the way it's taken so early, which is so interesting to me, I do feel this is going to be handled in probably the best way it possibly could.
Well, we need to define what you mean by ruin first, because ruin could be all kinds of different things. You started by pointing out that it's affecting people on an emotional level, in terms of confidence.
Because I don't know this factually, but I think I've seen examples, and I think it rubs off on people, and esteem's a massive part of it, because the one of the worst things that's affecting me right now is having seen people, the best of people, not realise their own potential and how special they actually are, because of forces that I'm convinced are the world essentially weighing them down, because it's all in their own head, except it's not, because when the lights are out and everyone goes home and we're by ourselves in our bedroom, we're not alone, not anymore, because we have the phone.
So that ability to always be with people, always be connecting, always be watching, always be listening, always be viewing, always be talking, always be chatting, that inherently is a bad thing, you might suggest.
Seeing manufactured versions of reality constantly.
But then you're attempting to manufacture a reality that breaks away from that is presenting of...
That's a debate that I've had with myself in my own head, in a sense of I'm trying to make a community that brings everyone together. A big part of that discussion in my head has been, am I the message, or am I just the biggest person waving the flag? Because if I'm acting like I'm the message, then I'm no different to anyone else on the internet who has made this manufactured reality where, oh, come everyone, have us have millions of views on these videos because we're bringing everybody together, and we're making a community where everyone's happy and everything's all grand and everything like that, and we're just a white flag in the desert, a symbol to people that everyone can just come, and that might not always be true at times, but that's what we need to be to people in times of hardship. What you're saying there is exactly right. That is a manufactured version of reality. So the question I've been asking myself is, if that's what my network is supposed to be, then yeah, I think that it fully represents that. But it's an interesting dialogue when you start talking about, okay, I'm most certainly not perfect at all. I've went the journey. I've seen what I've needed to see to reach this point. I'm just the person who's made this flag. And I need to accept that I'm not the flag, will never be the flag, and I need to make it very clear to the audience that no one will ever be the flag. But if it waves, and it waves high, people can look up to see it rather than down below.
So, oh gosh, that was an extended metaphor to deal with. What's going to make you different as a flag waver to other people who also are flag wavers on the internet doing the same thing?
I think I need to make a decision, not just on that what you've said, but of who it is that I want to be.
Who do you want to be? Apparently someone who will make others happy.
Because there's
at the centre of
it's an interesting discussion, because there's one of two ways I think it can go.
Okay.
I either fully embrace the imperfection side of me. I fully make the whole thing of, I'm the flaws and what build my character up online as someone who doesn't exist to them, because that's true. I don't. They're never going to bump into me on the street. I'm a character.
Well, unless we live locally to where you are.
But yes, but
for most people,
in a future hypothetical, most of them I won't meet on the street.
Okay.
I'm very much a character that people build up as it means something, the same way a character in any fiction film would, and that's people get confused. That people think that there's really a stark difference, when really I think there's a reason why a lot of people are getting very confused, is because they're on a screen. I think and it's so accessible now. I think there's really kind of a line that's being blurred, where I'm to the people who are potentially I never meet. I will come off as a surface level character that you only see for 2 hours when you go and see a fiction flick. I will come off that way. It's whether I want to be someone who fully embraces the flaws of my whole life completely, or do I just go the Superman route and be a symbol? Where and again, like I'm saying, not be the person itself that manifests that, but be a carrier of something. That kind, not perfection, but that kind of something that unites, and just through a sheer sense of just, we're here for you, constantly, unwaveringly, and I never drop that. Or do I let my guard down? Because I've already let my guard down on this platform. It's about a case whether do I count that as an era and move on, or do I continue to be the person I have been to this point but just grow, or do I become something else? Because maybe another thing I've been racking up is, in becoming something else, is that a price that's paid to be that symbol.
I don't know why you wouldn't want to be authentic.
Maybe I still can be. Maybe I don't. Maybe I don't have to put an act on, because I'm not really. You can't, after some of the things I've done on this platform, I couldn't just make an act convincingly. It's not the way it works. It's a case of, it's an attitude.
Yeah, because you certainly have like an attitude. Everything's bigger. Everything's planned and staggered. Everything's eras and phases, and this is going to be big, and it's all build up. And I wonder how much is now, or how much is future, because you seem to talk in future.
I think I kind of live in all three states of mind at once, and I think a lot of people do. I'm hardly going to act like that's a me thing. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm hardly going to act like that's a me thing, because a lot of people live that way. I'm getting better, but I'm constantly stuck in the past, living in moments that have already happened.
Okay.
In recent years especially, I'm very much in the now, because I'm in a crisis point where this has to work, and I'm running out of time, and I'm pushing to make it work, so I can't not be in the present.
Forgive me, again, crisis point. Bless you. You are 20, right? 20?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, fine. Keep going. And the future.
But then it's the future. It's because I'm writing that script. I can see where I want it to go. Because if I'm treating everything as a story, I can't just live in the present as if I don't know how that story ends. So there are multiple different branches. When Marvel started the multiverse a couple of years, trust me, once I got a hold of that idea, my mind went bonkers.
Do you have KPIs? Key performance indicators. I need like this many numbers or this many like figures.
I just need to be in a position where there is at least a certain profitability to what we're doing, not for my gain, but showing that it's successful. Even in any kind of form, we need to cross that threshold soon, and by that I mean within the next few years upcoming.
So when you say profitability, is that you making enough money to pay yourself? Is that you making enough money that it's no longer a loss to the people involved?
That is not only that is for in my channel, which maybe just a solo endeavor, potentially yes. That for income, yeah, that's definitely a factor.
And would that be the sole income or part of a range of different incomes?
Well, that's the income part. Everything else for the other two channels, the one that's starting in May and then the one that's already currently running, the main one, those again, like I've said, the charity cause has been brought into that. So yes, we'll never see a penny of those two channels ever. But it's proving that those are a success, because even if in the bare minimum, even if I'm not seeing a penny of what's been done, if what I've spent so long trying to pull off becomes a success, it was all worth it. Even if in some form it's a success, that success can grow, but you need to cross that threshold of being, oh no, he's actually pulled it off. That is in multiple different scales. That's not 10 mil where I want to be.
To be, so money is important to you.
Oh no. Outreach
it's not
is
10 mil where you want to be.
No. Outreach is 10 million people.
Oh, outreach. Okay, you want to be at 10 million people.
Yeah, I made a judgment call on that about 4 years ago, where I was like, no.
So you do have KPIs. Like, yeah, ideally, I'd like to get this many people watching my stuff.
Well, an end goal, yes. Maybe not blocks along the way, because if I was a logical person, I think I would be halfway there by now.
Okay.
I think that's the one thing I've been lacking. That's why I need a team around us.
Okay.
Because I'm not. I think we've spoken about this before. I'm not a logical thinker. Well, yes.
I think you're too logical. I think you overthink.
No common sense.
No common sense.
As in, okay, what do people actually, business sense as well. What do people actually want to watch? Figures, metrics, marketing, advertising online, all that useless. Even content, I'm not the best at.
Someone who's trying to spread yourself really thin, really quickly, rather than starting small and making it really well honed. Instead, I'll get as many people involved as I can, and I'll do as many different kinds of programs as I can, and just like hope that continues to grow.
I think it does.
That's my concern about you, Matthew.
Yeah. I think it does need to be bigger than me, because I'm not charismatic enough to carry this success by myself. I've realised that now. I've got to be realistic. It's YouTube we're talking about. I'm not as much of a charisma to do this on my own. I'm too small of a scale. Like the sin, how deep some of the places this discussion's gone already, and that's my fault. I think you're wonderful in reciprocating that, by the way. But it's very. I go there very easily, and I don't, and I feel bad because I've kind of overtaken this in a sense, but it's not
all right. This is a conversation. It's all good.
But it's I feel maybe it is a big team kind of a mask for it, really, rather than just focusing on my own output. But I feel like if I've got more people around me who have a better expertise on those metrics and those kind of things, who maybe potentially don't even have the passion for the creativity of what I'm doing, they just know the metrics.
Getting a team is good. Having people in different skill sets is useful. I mean, we don't want everybody to be doing the same thing, do we? You're working together to achieve the same things, but you're offering different things with each other. I think that's great.
But this is just a general question. In your opinion, do you think is this doing that and getting different people with sort of different kind of skill sets and that sort of thing, is that all right in a sense of I then don't have to bother with it? Should I constantly try to improve in those areas? Because when it comes to the metrics, I really don't have an interest. I feel as long as you've got the people on the team who do love that, and that's their bread and butter, and that they're going to make growth as their priority for the platform that I'm building. I don't think that once those people are in place, I don't think that's my responsibility, because it's not the part of the job that I enjoy, but that's by the by.
Well, I was asking what you did enjoy before, and I was still trying to find out. But anyway, keep going.
But I'm also not good at it. That's the main point I want to make.
You're not good, but you're good at something. Like, you're clearly bringing people together. You're good at
behind the scenes,
building a team.
Behind the scenes.
Well, then you don't need to be in front of the scenes necessarily. A lot of creative directors don't present their own content.
Wow, now it becomes interesting, because you've hit me with, there's some questions that just often I don't ask myself. That's one. Will I still insist as time goes on to still be in front? that's very interesting because, yeah, I still very much would like to be. So why I'm not taking a back seat, as in you never see me on camera, that's very interesting.
There's got to be some kind of ego attached to that, like the want to be the person in front of the camera as a driving force as well. It's not just you're hitting people with certain messages or certain things. You want to be part of their lives. You want to be known. You want to be admired, perhaps.
I want to feel like I did something. That I did something.
Yeah.
But that's a me thing. I think I'm at least allowed one thing.
I'm
at least allowed one thing where I can say, I take it for myself.
And as long as there's other people in the organisation that you're with, that you've built around you, as long as they're also happy with what they're getting out of the relationship of being involved in it, all good. They'll have different aims, ambitions, things they want to achieve. And if they choose, I mean, these are at the moment at least unpaid roles that you're doing with people. If they're getting out of it what they want or what they need, that's great. You are good because you're galvanizing that effort together to work on something that people are keen to be part of.
Yeah.
I don't think you're doing anything wrong. I just worry that you're trying to do too much too fast or spread yourself. That expression of running before you can walk.
Yeah.
Make little things perfect and then grow it from that point. That's the way that I'd want to suggest you move towards.
Yeah.
But it's your thing. It's not my thing. And I can't tell you how to do things because we live in a different world with different people.
I want to know. I think that's the end goal to me. It's not the yes, the numbers to me, as in that whole 10 mil thing, and I don't mean it combined when it was the one channel before. That can be combined. That can be across the three, whatever, 4, 5, however many channels we have at the end. Like that can be combined. It doesn't matter to me as long as it's a combined 10.
But it's interesting that you have a specific figure in mind, though.
Because I did that metric based on who at the time my biggest watchers on YouTube and have been since.
Who was that?
Sidemen.
Okay, yeah.
They're now well surpassed that. But at the time in 2021, they were slightly above that number, and I thought, okay, they've now cemented themselves. Yeah, 50 years, everyone goes to dust. They won't be remembered. No one cares.
Maybe.
But
if there's anyone around to remember them
for a long while,
sure,
they will. And it's the impact they had. The fact how everyone tunes in every Sunday night and loves it, and generally just has a laugh at what they think is basically their boys. They never met them, but they feel like they're their friends.
Yeah.
And
you can be that to other people.
That's what I want to be.
Because of the internet. See how I'm bringing it back around to the topic? Because of the internet, you can do that. You don't need to go through a traditional broadcaster. There is no stopping point for you to get your own content out there, except for algorithms. Like, they're the new content gatekeepers. It's what trends and what works and what gets recommended to people. If you can crack that, you're good. But there's no, like, we won't commission your program. We don't want to buy this. You can make it. You can put it out there like that, and you're doing it. You're living proof that the internet can be really good for enabling people to get their views or get their content, get their creativity out there.
Is it? It must be just some kind of cycle then, because I feel that there's damage that's been done by the platform.
Oh, YouTube specifically,
all of it,
the internet at large,
social media probably primarily.
Okay,
that I am trying my damnedest to undo using that same system. Yeah,
good. And you're not alone in that. There's lots of people doing those same kind of things. Good. And this is why I'd suggest you do it authentically. Do it with authenticity. Be your real self. Because that's the whole thing. If you're saying that this platform encourages mistrust, disinformation,
even the thing is,
be the antidote.
Mistrust. If the mistrust is around.
Oh, forgive me. I don't mean. Yeah.
But I mean like an unwavering lie. Isn't me on this very platform talking about constructing myself in a certain way, showing that even if I do put a construction, they can always refer back to this and being like, well, no, it's a necessary act. It's not something that he's trying to convince us that he's a certain way. It's meant to be a symbol.
Yeah, perhaps.
Potentially. I mean, it's to the standpoint in which I'm coming from with all of this. It's from the perspective of I feel there are very important instances in my life where I've seen people affected by this, and my core mission, which I've truly realised, it's not the charity angle, though that is of course a massive byproduct with it. To me, it is what I said at the start. It is very much holding a mirror up to the people who I've known who didn't see themselves as worthy. And at the time,
You want to make people feel a different way about themselves.
I wasn't enough to help them at the time.
Right.
And this gives me the opportunity to do that.
Nice.
In whatever way that I can.
I mean, you've got a mission statement. As long as you keep that in mind with whatever you make and you work towards achieving that with what you do, that's great. You've got a reason to create this content, to reach these audiences.
It's until a certain point, I don't suppose I'd ever know if I really made the difference that I'm trying to.
Well, the good thing about social media is it's two-way.
Yeah.
You can find out by asking.
But the thing is, it's not even comments. Only comments can go so far. I just hope, my biggest hope is that there's one day where the necessary person that needed to hear what it is I'm trying to say just stopped me in my day, recognized me and stopped me and said, look, you did it.
You made a real impactful, tangible difference to my life. Thank you for making what you make.
Yeah. And that will be it. And even better if it's the people I actually want to hear. If it's the people that I actually want to hear what it is I have to say. Yeah.
Good.
Fix what I fix where it all went wrong. Yeah. There's many things that come with this, but that's the biggest. It's hitting the 10 mil, so I know that the amount of people I've reached, you need to call it quits at some point. Yes, things can continue to grow, but there's got to come a point where you pat yourself on the back and say you did it. That was it. I know things can go to 20, 100 mil, but there comes a certain point where it's like, yes, you reached the necessary amount. You certainly did your bit. There's once you reach that point, that's the point I've marked, and that's what I've seen. So I knew at the time, even when it was financials that were involved, that was the goal, to reach that many people for the kind of the whole bringing thing together. I think that was the motive from the very beginning, but it was like the rest of the Simon operation. It was very much make a success of myself in a medium that I'm not only comfortable with, but I love to pieces, and I know I can do well in.
Nice.
With multiple different areas.
I wish you the very best of luck
from everything.
Sorry to keep cutting you off. My apologies.
No, it's fine. Now, after last year, this is become something else, because now it's not just I will not see much money off this platform at all, but now it's for my own self-interest. Though other than that one thing I can take myself, obviously, which we've said, which is really, if I'm being brutally honest, that is the thing I take for myself, but the rest of it I try not to. That's the real meaning, because I announced in September that's the direction I was taking things in on paper, but it wasn't until a short time later, and primarily the end of 2024, when I really looked at my life in context and thought, no, what's the meaning? Yeah, you're even doing the charity thing now, but what's the real meat of why you're doing what you're doing? And that is it. What I've said. The reaching the people that I have to really show them who they are. Because the more inauthentic, potentially, what I've said, the dark side of what we're talking about, it's not inherently bad. That you're really convincing me on that. You are.
Oh, I'm not going to argue in favour of the internet.
But it's
purely. Everything we talk about, it's all nuanced.
Yeah. Yes, of course.
Everything is yes and no.
Just how everything on the platform itself is ambiguous. It's with how more inauthentic things are getting. To combat that, I want to show them that once you put the phone down, you're actually decent, and people care about you. And you should care about yourself. And more importantly, allow them to understand why the other people care about them, because they don't believe it. They don't believe it. They think it's just some false prophet thing. They're like, oh no, I'm useless, or I'm not pretty, I'm not successful, I'm not talented, I'm not this, that, and the other. And
you were just saying that about half an hour ago about yourself, not the pretty bit, the talented bit.
Oh no, I'm fabulous. Yeah.
Yeah, you are. Well, why not? We live in a world where we can construct that narrative for ourselves. We being you, we being me to a lesser extent because you're editing this or whoever behind the scenes is. But every person with their mobile or with their editing software or whatever can release what they want into the world and be that character, the kind of thing that you say you're constructing yourself, the character you bring out to the world. We're all growing up. I say young people these days have grown up in a world where that's just natural to them. I don't think social media is inherently bad. I think social media is mostly bad in the way that it's been used. At a top level and by the bigger players involved. But I look at the landscape with Elon Musk in charge of X and maybe soon TikTok. I look at Mark Zuckerberg in charge of Facebook, Threads, WhatsApp. What's the other one? Messenger?
Yeah.
Is that the other one? Anyway, whatever. All of the meta apps. And I mean, some of the news that was announced recently about the way that gay people or queer people of LGBTQI+ can be called mentally ill and that be not challenged on the platform because of a change in guidelines. I look at how problematic social media can be, not from our lack of freedom of speech, but how that is controlled or how that is swayed by what's chosen to be in focus. And again, that's algorithm. Mm-hmm. You get to see people that agree with your point of view because of the way you interact. That creates echo chambers where certain opinions between certain people will grow and grow and grow. And like many people probably watching this or listening to this, I use X a lot less than I ever did when it was Twitter because of the negativity on that platform now.
Yeah.
Blue Sky is exciting and nice at the moment. It probably won't stay that way, but they're not chasing advertisers in the same way.
Yeah.
They're not chasing political influence in the same way. And look at what's happened with those people who are chasing political influence through the social media platforms that they run.
It's very interesting that everything you've said that's wrong about this is primarily down to human nature.
Uh-huh.
And of course it is.
But humans in positions of power.
Yeah.
And financially strong positions as well.
And I think very much an interesting angle to go with, as maybe one or two points to talk over, this next one is what you've just said there.
Oh, go on then. Hit me.
Again, the very art of this is to kind of beat around the bush. But it's when I say there's a collective sense where it brings everybody together.
With your platform.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Agendas you've talked about there, the way platforms are swayed, that's not one that I want to sway mine. When I say that is, regardless of any opinions that I have in my life, regardless of any opinions that anyone on the team has, I want to make a very strong point. And this might be the only time I say it because I don't even want to talk about it. But I want to, behind the scenes, keep this network as not just politics, but topical in general, as neutral as physically possible. And when I say that is, regardless of what people's opinions are, this is not going to be biased. There's going to be nothing that gets made under me or anything that's majorly said with intent that is going to stand for anything. Like, well, all these topics we're going to talk about on the podcast, these are questions to ask. And there's multiple different sides of the questions. Yes, they can act like traditional debates. But the point is that we don't have something definitively to say. When we're done with this, there is no, and what have we learned today, kids? There'll be none of that.
So you wouldn't, for instance, take an anti-racist stance? You'd want to stay balanced?
I believe that there are inherently good and bad, but I don't get to decide what that is. And what you've just said there, not judging anyone, judging anyone in general when they've got no reason to, that is inherently sort of, in my mind, against what human nature should be. You shouldn't judge anyone based off something that they can't control, for starters.
You will take a stance. You will be anti-racist on this platform. You won't allow racism to be something that you take part in.
Or maybe tied with that, if that really is the way things go, then maybe it's silence. Maybe it's just not saying anything.
Well, I'm concerned by the idea that you suggested you won't be politically biased towards any side or topically biased towards any side. My first thought was, what about something to do with abortion? What if there's a person working with the organization who wants to make a piece that like favors a certain side of the either pro-choice or pro-life debate from a storytelling point of view? Let's say a young mother growing up, like wondering whether she should keep a baby and deciding ultimately that she will, or deciding ultimately that she won't, and that being the narrative of that short film. Again, something to do with race, like someone growing up in a certain situation as a certain race, and then that being an important part of the story. If you try to avoid taking sides, you limit the kind of content you can tell.
I think with that then, because again, like I think I have thought about this, there's a balance that needs to be had. So when I say is, do you know that's what it is, it's understanding. I think the biggest issue with the internet and how things go so far out of hand, and just people in general nowadays, is people don't ask the question why. And I think I've even said this recently on this platform. They don't ask the question, why do they act like that? Why did they say what they said? People are too quick to cast them off as demon spawn. For the way people present themselves to the world and what it is they say, they don't ask the questions as to why. When I say everything in stories, what led someone who is most would consider to be truly evil to be the way that they are? What I see is a story, a very interesting one. Why did they become the way that they became? But no one ever asked that question. They never do.
I believe loads of people ask that question. And I've been thinking about it in terms of Brexit as well, because for a while I was like, oh gosh, like what a ridiculous thing to do, to vote against like your country being part of the largest trading bloc, and what a very anti-brown people sentiment that is, to want to break away from something that it encourages. It doesn't, but the way the media was perceived that it encourages immigration, and the way that immigrants are covered in media, like just this new mentality towards populism and towards right ideology. But people come from a space of not being able to afford to live in the space that they do, and they're given the scapegoat. It's brown people, it's the invaders who are coming from elsewhere. That's the solution. It's the problem of brown people, the problem of illegal asylum seekers. You can't be an illegal asylum seeker, but whatever. They are living in a system where they see both major political parties aren't offering the change that they need, and they just want things to change. And when a vote is offered in 2016 that allows them to go, I want things to change from the status quo, that's natural. And that mindset is talked about. Whereas before you would say, no, that thing is just inherently backwards and inherently racist. Well, in fact, no, it's not. It's coming from a position where, not a position I agree with, but a position of, I'm not being heard. My voice isn't part of this discussion. Things are getting worse. Forgive me for interrupting you there, but I worry that if an organization isn't inherently anti-racist, then they are racist. And that's the way that I line up with things. If you make a statement about race, but you say that other people on one side of it are inherently all right to say that thing if they work with me or if they work around me, that don't like work. I don't know. I'm struggling to articulate this properly.
How do I put this in a way that is simple and where my conundrum, I'm not saying there's an answer, where my conundrum gets realised.
Go on, yeah.
It's in the sense that in any stance you take, it's the time old thing of like, if you say something, someone out there will disagree with you. Mm-hmm. But it's a case of the reason why I think I've been thrown around so much in any situation that is possible to avoid of having no stance is because there's in someone out there disagreeing with you what I've said, it makes them unhappy. So it's very difficult when I come out here and I say, look, my biggest thing is about inspiring people in their own personality and showing them who they are, and then also the driving thing on just a service level is just making people truly happy in themselves. it's very hard to do that when anything you could say, someone out there doesn't like it. So I'm not saying there's an answer to this, but do you understand my conundrum now?
Yes.
Where I try and be this universal symbol to people, but no matter what you do, there's always going to be someone out there that, for some minor thing, doesn't see that thing the same way, because now it's almost popular to go against the mold in everything. It's almost like an identity thing now, where sometimes just going against an opinion is something that you can use to maybe, for some people out there who are potentially quite attention-seeking, can take something else who is a different opinion to somebody else and can use it just so they have a stance they can put a foot in the ring, so they have an argument. And that's, of course, that's not everybody, but some people out there do. There's no way to win, essentially. There isn't. All I'm trying to be is something that is... That's why I'm saying that I don't think I can be the symbol myself. I've got to hold it, because there's everything you're saying there, the flaws in what it is I'm trying to describe. Those flaws are human. The idea of the idea on paper, what I'm trying to do, maybe it comes from a human place, but it's not true human nature, because if it was true human nature, the idea itself would be flawed. The idea is supposed to be perfect, an imperfect person's supposed to be carrying it. I think that's all the best I can do, really.
That's democracy. That's communism. They're perfect ideas in principle, but it's the people that ruin them. So, what is the point of you then? If you're going to be... If other people just have something they want to say for the sake of it, then why are you at the centre of this platform? And why are you putting yourself in the position of needing to be that voice within that flag? What makes you special compared to all those people that you say people just need an opinion?
I think times past, and when I was younger, I cared an enormous amount of being special, being remembered, being all these things. Now I'm older, it boils down to a very simple fact that I can't ignore, that I just really care about people. And I just want to help them. And I'm trying my best to do that without coming off as a symbol on here that becomes like everyone else, where they will just reject it over whatever it is, where symbols such as celebrities, where symbols just get torn down over the most minute thing. I just want to help people, and I know that in doing it on this platform, it comes with a price, and that is likely what the price will be to a large group of people. Will probably not like me for something that I've said, but even then, what I'm saying isn't objectively saying some massively hot take. I could just be saying something theoretical, like all these philosophical things that we talk about. Something minute I've done is problematic to somebody somewhere out there. I'm just trying to help as many people as I can, and I'm trying to understand how that could be any more pure of intention. I'm just trying to... I can't save people. And what it is I'm trying to do, they need to save themselves. I can't save people. What I can do is I can help them to do so. It's their own battle. I can't do that. If I could, I would try.
I think I need you to think smaller about your network as well. In the same way that I'm saying you're spreading the potential streams of what you're creating really wide. What tangible difference do you expect you might be able to make to somebody? You say you want to make everybody happy, but can you offer something specific that does that? Like a step towards that happiness that you know you can help people accomplish, rather than this really wide open remit of happiness. And if you can find moments of that, specific things to articulate, I'll make the people who watch this happy in this way. Or the people who watch this are these kinds of people. I want to share this particular message with them that will help strengthen them or make them feel happier. It's like aiming for the middle of a dartboard rather than aiming for a dartboard.
Yeah. If there's a way to do this and to do this right, in a way that the internet, as much as it's ruined some people and won't have ruined all, and it can actually be used as a tool to help people who it either has or hasn't done to yet. Is there a way to do this in a sense of morality that kind of carries everything I've said and to just do it right?
I think you've got to be authentically you as a start based on what we talked about. And no, there is no way to do it right, and no, there is no way to do it wrong. We as individuals create our own content in this space. You, as someone wanting to position themselves at the center of a network, are making content in the way that you and your network by extension want to create it. It's your way. And in the same way that free speech exists, the ability to call out somebody because of their speech also exists. You can speak freely, they can speak freely back. Nothing is inherently wrong about that. Maybe what you say is disagreeable, but that doesn't mean you're silenced if you say something that other people don't want you to say. They'll just be vocal about the fact they don't want you to say it. Mm-hmm. The changes come in when power is removed, when money is removed, when changes in how things can be delivered are removed, I suppose. That wasn't very well articulated, forgive me. But let's say you do something, you say something that YouTube themselves disagrees with. Let's say it's causing them flack. So they take your content down, or they don't push you in the same way that they were previously. They change the way that your content is distributed. That's where we're looking at things wider than just people saying they have an issue with it. It's a deplatforming of some kind. I guess that cuts into the whole territory of, what's the word? What's the word I want? When people are silenced. There's a word for that, isn't there?
Censorship.
That's a word. That's not the word I meant, but yes. Cancelled, that's the word I wanted. You hear a lot about that these days, don't you? And I think it's something that it sounds like from our conversation you're concerned about. Is that correct? The idea of saying something that is disagreed with and then you're shut down or ridiculed or...
Based on the consequence of emotion, not the flack I get. It's the consequence of anything becoming problematic or an issue with anything that we've put out. It would go well against everything I'm trying to do with this platform.
Okay.
Is this everything I've said today? Is this authentically me?
I don't know. I'm not you.
No, but what I'm trying to do, because if I myself have created the symbol, is that not who I am?
I don't know. If I have a child, is that child me?
No. But it's everything you wanted for yourself.
Oh God, that's depressing. I hope that I achieve more than my child does. My non-existent child who never will exist. God forbid. Am I going to do nothing? You're doing it. You intentionally are doing things, possibly selfishly. Other people might say, I don't care. You're doing things you want to do. One of those things is reach a large audience. One of those is share happiness with other people. One of those is be a voice that people can recognize and to make a tangible difference in people's lives. Good. Do that. Let that be your guiding mantra. I don't see a problem with that. But did the internet ruin us? It's enabled you.
Then I'll try. Thank you, Jay.
Oh, thank you, Matthew.
Thank you. Right. That was great. So...
Was it? Oh,
end,
God, we're still making such big pictures.
At the end, I don't know how we're going to change gears from this, but at the end of these episodes, we usually have a game. So are you ready for today's?
Throw it at me. What's
okay.
the game?
Right then, we have the internet, a blessing or a curse.
Oh, my goodness.
Right then, there's usually a how to play on these, I think. Yeah.
Nice. How to play.
Okay, there is 10 questions.
There are
Each
indeed.
question has one answer. You will gain a point each round. Oh, yeah, here we go. Great. Round one, history check.
Oh, no.
In what year was the first email sent?
Absolutely no idea. Wow.
Right.
Okay. It depends how you define email. Is it B, 1971? Is it C, 1980? Or is it D, 1995?
I'm going to say 80.
Okay. I'll say 71. just because it's a different answer than the one you gave. Yay!
Right.
I was right
Okay.
for no reason. It was, okay, the first email was sent by Ray Tomlinson, the inventor of email, as a test message.
Right. Okay.
I mean, what does that mean? A test message on what system?
Yeah, because
Like,
you see, the thing is when you think, because the thing is, it's like when you're saying what the first video game is. Like, are you saying Donkey Kong arcade era, or are you saying Pong?
I'm saying Pong, which I
when-
think was 1971 as well.
Because
year.
when we're saying that, we're thinking like the most awkward, like, press a send button message. I'm thinking the most basic of monitors sending one away. That's why my head went to 80.
Right, they wouldn't have been monitors then, would they?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
I don't think so.
Well, would there have been monitors? No, they would have, because Pong existed. I'm talking
79
rubbish.
games were a thing, yeah. Home games were a thing around 79. Yes, around that time there would have been.
Social media explosion.
Right. Which social media platform was the first to reach 1 billion active users? I think I know this one, Facebook. Yeah. I believe it was Facebook. I haven't seen the social network, but I'm pretty sure that was it.
It would make sense, wouldn't it? I'll go with Facebook as well.
Yes. Yeah, I did think so.
Yay, well done. I stole
Cool.
a point from you, but yeah.
I don't even think I've been tracking points for any of these episodes, I don't think.
2-1.
right.
Yay. I mean, I only won by chance on the first one.
Right. Okie dokie.
Question 3.
Privacy concerns. What percentage of internet users in 2023 reportedly used ad blockers?
Don't use an ad blocker. Matthew won't get your revenue.
The producer's howling by the way right now. Okay.
I'm going to say C.
Yeah, same. I would have said
Slightly
45.
less than half.
45, yeah.
No idea.
Good.
Well
Good
done.
job. Good job.
Get in.
Yeah. That was horrendous because I'm usually bad at that, but it makes 2 on this case. Right. Okay.
The internet's dark side,
The term dark web
as
refers
opposed to deep web.
Yeah. What's the difference?
Well, I'm not going to tell you the answer.
The internet during a blackout. Okay.
I will say it is C.
Jinx. Woo! Cool. Right. Okie dokie. Addiction alert. What is the average daily internet usage worldwide as of 2023? I'm going to say 6. Oh, worldwide? That changes. I think in the developed world, definitely 6. But that's worldwide. So, I'll say 6. I'll say 6. I'll say 6. Just trust that they're addicted. Yep, 6. I'm very confused. Put me out my misery, just do it. What? I'm baffled right now. What is... Next slide, please. You can talk, yeah?
Oh, thank you. That's very kind of you. You did jinx me. How can I compete against you if I can't speak? I was jinxed. Gosh.
Question 6.
We're drawing now. Economic impact.
How much of a global retail sales were attributed to e-commerce in 2022?
How do we know?
Oh, so that's what that word means.
Attributed.
Right. Okay. So as in like online purchases, that's what that word means. Oh, right. I never...
Oh, e-commerce, you mean?
Yeah, I never.
Yeah.
Yeah, I never knew what that meant. Yeah.
Products sold via the internet.
I mean, it checks out, but once you actually say it in a sentence like this, it makes total sense. Yeah.
I'm going to say, probably wrong. Let's find out. 60%. D.
I'm going to say 45.
No
25.
way! Really? It's surprising that it's
Amazon
so...
are slacking, bro. that's.
So you get those adverts for like, yo, y'all, you should use Amazon's... What's it called? That £8 a month listening thing? Audible. Use Audible to make loads of money. Here's how.
Yeah, it's...
Put out loads of fake books using Audible.
Yeah, that's shocking. That's shocking it's that low. It's that low. I thought it would be higher, but no, yeah. Can that's everything? That's like from like online takeaways to everything. Surely that would count,
right?
Like all of it.
Well, maybe I don't know how
Maybe
they
like
measure
getting all the
these.
Domino's app. That should count as like e-commerce.
Maybe it does,
yeah.
but that's still only 25%.
Yeah.
Does it? I mean, does it include selling stocks? Is that
Yeah.
No. Producers saying no. Where are you getting these figures from?
Fake news. Over the rainbow, somewhere over the rainbow.
Did you know that 68% of figures are made up on the spot?
Wow.
Mm.
I don't know why it was the most sarcastic wow I've ever done in my life.
Wow, that's amazing.
Okay. How long does the average person spend on social media over their lifetime? Oh, Jesus, this is going to be shocking.
How's that going to be measured? Oh, in terms of like, okay, well,
yeah, exactly. Like some of these
6
questions,
hours
like,
a
how
day.
do they...
6 hours a day.
I'm gonna say, it's 3 or 6.
I'm going to say D15 because it's, if you think 60%, what was it? What was the question earlier?
It was 6 hours of the day.
6 hours of the day. So like 24 divided by 3, 6.
You've inspired me. Then
Wait.
I think I'm gonna go higher.
No.
I think 6.
That's 4.
I think 6. Yep.
Well done.
Yeah.
Maths.
Scary how much of these I actually know. It's very scary. I think I might be the one addicted. Fake or
Nowadays.
fact?
Fake or fact?
Oh, flashbacks episode 1. Right. What percentage of internet
You're
users?
talking about AI in episode 1.
Yeah.
My goodness. How was Nick?
Sorry.
How was Nick in that?
We played a game at the end where we had to guess which images were or not.
Oh, I want to play that game. Yeah. Okay, we will. Yeah.
Art or algorithm. It was. No, definitely 100%. But we played it at the end for fun. Definitely.
They do that with some of the journalist students. They have them like recognize which stories are fake and which ones are real. I quite like.
What percentage of internet users can confidently spot fake news online? Wow. Okay. I'm gonna say 20.
I think that if this is like asking people whether they think they can versus measuring whether people can, it's going to have wildly different results.
I think they must have done a test or something like what's new and what's not, and like said, was this real, and then tell them if it was or not.
I hope so. I'm going to say C. Oh.
Yeah.
Boo.
Wow.
Oh, I got the figure the wrong way around.
So would you go with me? 20?
I meant higher. I meant like more people wouldn't recognize it.
Right.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
would you
Well,
go on with me?
I don't know. I probably would have said the other one, not yours. You win. I think you've taken the lead by far now.
What was the first viral?
Was it
I think
Rainbow?
it wasn't a piano and a keyboard cat. Yeah.
It wasn't
Yeah.
Double Rainbow. Oh.
It was a keyboard cat, wasn't it? His wives get used so bloody often.
I'm going to say Dancing Baby. It was a GIF.
Is that the one that does the Gangnam Style?
Dancing Baby. It's a baby that dances, but it's disgusting. It's made out of CGI. And it's just... like, imagine proto Toy Story. It's gross.
I hope to never see that in my life. Okay. Okay. And last one, yeah? Last one?
Rest
okay.
in peace, keyboard
Last one.
cat.
Big questions. What percentage of internet users say the internet has made the society a better place?
Well, not Matthew.
Hey, I'm a changed man after today.
Right. Don't be. The internet's still... Well, episode next.
Okay. I would say 20. Because I think a lot of people are a bit pessimistic like me.
50. Yeah. Opinions are divided, with many acknowledging both the positive and negative effects.
Most definitely an example of today. Yeah.
Yeah.
Very much so.
Scoring guide. 8 to 10. Internet sage. You know the internet
Was I
inside
up there?
out.
Would I say I got eight or more? I think I got 8 or more right, did I? Yeah, okay. Yeah, I'd want to bloody think I could know the internet inside out given what I'm doing.
You've got your finger on the pulse. The Pulse of West Yorkshire. Do you remember that?
No.
That's from my childhood. 106. Was it 106? No, that was Galaxy 106. Was it 104.4? How do you know? Okay, great. The producer's like, yeah?
Oh, dear me.
Are you from Yorkshire?
Right. Okay, what's the rest of this then? Oh,
2 to 4. Scrolling Skeptic.
Offline Wanderer. Don't we all debate like that? Anyway. There's... Cool. Finn, yes. Personal request from last week. I wanted Finn. Yeah. Brilliant. Fantastic. Right. Absolutely wonderful discussion today, Jay. Thank you. Thank you very, very much. I know it was an outside the box choice and you're a bit skeptical about it, but like yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, it's I knew that. Do you understand now? I think it's not the I knew you're the right person to have this discussion. It's not about topics. It's about it. I knew the right person for it. Because it's heavy. It's heavy, especially from an early episode. But thank you very much. It's been very, very enjoyable.
Asking me to be part of it. I appreciate it.
Certainly have opened my eyes to a lot of things there and new ways of thinking. Because it's very, I think, deep questions. Maybe not so much. It's definitely bordered on that. But I think theoretical, yeah, very much. Like philosophical. Probably
certainly didn't talk about what I expected at all.
Honestly, some of the heaviest philosophical questions I've ever been asked. Like generally, that really made me think. But no, thank you very, very much today. We'll see you guys once again next Friday for the last one of January. And we already have our guest in mind. We'll announce them very, very soon on socials. As always, Matthew May Official. You'll find them there, who I'm putting out there, and we'll announce who the guest is going to be. But for this episode, we'll see you next time on the BWN Podcast. Goodbye.